shepherd, he feeds his flock and gathers the lambs in his arms, holding them carefully close to his heart, leading them home. I myself will shepherd them, for others have led them astray. The lost I will rescue and heal their wounds, and pasture them, giving them rest. Like a shepherd, he feeds his flock and gathers the lambs in his arms, holding them carefully close to his heart, leading them home.
So it's good to have a mother and her son, who are singing together with a piano in their house, like you are now in your house, and that they are helping us together as a family to enter in prayer. Now, I would like to read again with you the Psalm 23 and to read it prayerfully, to let the Good Shepherd touch our heart with to touch us with his staff, his word, his rod. The Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I lack. In green pastures he makes me lie down. To still waters he leads me. He restores my soul. He guides me along the right path for the sake of his name. Even though I walk through the valley of shadow of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You set a table before me in front of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Indeed, goodness and mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord for endless days. So we can go to the next slide. Again, another slide. So here, even though I walk to the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So you are probably familiar with those pictures of Holy Land, where the shepherd had to lead the sheep, and the valley of the shadow of death is on one side an image to speak about our interior and our spiritual battles, but it is grounded in the life of the shepherd, in that experience that to arrive to those green pastures that are um, dispersed, and you have some obliged path, some ways that are obligatory, and in the shadows you can see in the middle of the picture there's that path, and then you can imagine at the end on the left there is a shadow, and there was a danger, the danger of the wild beasts. You had some lions, you had many kind of wild beasts. You had also in those areas many other dangers. You had the plants with poison. You had the floods. If you are in a valley and a lot of water is arriving, survival is difficult. Um, you have also another animal that was there is the bears. You had some a bear. So even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So please notice that it is the first moment that appears this you, for you are with me. At the beginning, David was speaking of the shepherd, my shepherd, but not now he enter in a you relationship, like addressing God directly. And this is what happened. And when we let him guide us and fulfill our deeper desire to eat, to drink, to find security, then that my God, my Jesus, grows in you, Jesus, you, my Lord, in a dialogue and interaction. Uh, uh, so we could go to the next slide. So I found that a little bit funny. This is your rod and your staff comfort me. You probably are more familiar than myself with the Bible. You know, here I discover that people are doing so many Bible studies, and I keep learning from every people I meet about the Bible. They ask me questions that I never went into. And here we have, I was wondering what is the difference between the rod and the staff. Even in the French version, there is only one word that I found in my version of the Bible for both reality. So the rod is more to defend from a wild beast, and the staff is more to go for the sheep, as you see on the right picture. So there is that good shepherd. For David, he knows that there is a defense aspect and a caring aspect. Now, what I discovered about the rod that you see on the left is that at the end, it's a little bit more heavy at the end, like close to what would be the head of that wolf. And they put some metal there, some metallic elements to be able to defend strong strongly against the wild beasts. But there is another dimension to the rod. It helped to count the sheep. So many shepherds, they would have their sheep lining up so that they pass one by one in front of them, and they count each one with a rod. And if you read Pope Benedict, that's a big aspect of the Good Shepherd figure throughout the scriptures. It is that feeling known by the shepherd, that each one is known to the eyes of Jesus. Like in the Trinity, where the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that there is that knowledge of each other, that apply to a very personal relationship. That when you enter in that, you and my shepherd, you are with me. You are with me, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. So we could go to the next slide. So now there is that other phrase that Vaugelas that says, that begins again with a you. You set a table before me in front of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. So, for the shepherd, the people of the shepherds, like for this like many of the Israelites or Hebrews, they would have the stance. So the stance, they are made with a skin, not of the sheep, but right now I forgot how you say that in English, but it's the same size of a sheep but with two little corns there. So those they have those, you see, they also have that capacity to be helpful when it is raining, because the water slides on it. Doesn't enter in the tent, but slides on it. But when it's hot, it's warm, it's dry, then the skin open up. And then through you can see almost a little bit of the sky through it. You have the shade, but you have the air that is passing. And then when you look at the sky, but when you try to look at the sky from inside the tent, what do you see? It's like during the night, when you look at the stars, you see some stars. I've seen a picture. You have the impression to see the sky with stars. Right at this time of the day, when you see the tent now on your picture, the sun is strong, but inside the shade is very well done, and you see the sky, like when you are in the middle of the night, and have you had that experience that you are in nature or in a mountain with a beautiful sky during night, and that sense of awe and that feeling in the house of the Lord because of the magnificence of the splendor of his creation. So there you have that phrase that come up in the text, in the Word of God. I will dwell in the house of the Lord. That's next. That's at the end of the text. But here the text says, "You set a table before me." So where would they set a table? In a tent. In front of my enemies. So there was a rule, according to the Jews of that time, like the Hebrews, that if you enter in the tent, you are protected from the enemies. That they will give their life to protect you, even if you are not their friend. As soon as they give you hospitality, they would protect you. And they would care for you. They would give you food. And so you anoint my head with oil. So they would put oil on the head. Even you see picture that in the old traditions where they keep, even you had that with the pharaohs, they keep a kind of a little recipient that spread the oil. It has a sense of, it's a way to manifest the welcoming, the appreciation. And my cup overflows. Okay. So could be a cup of tea, but myself, I imagine more a cup of wine because I'm French, and I imagine it's a good way to manifest hospitality. Then when you bring somebody at your table, the familiarity of the "my Lord, to you are with me" is growing in a sense of eating at the same table. And so it brings up that relationship that David had with the Lord. But now to see how Jesus accomplishes that, as each Sunday, each day for many of you, he brings you to his table where he wants that intimate relationship with you. And then you responding to it and disposing yourself, coming to this retreat, for example, or bringing friends of yours to meet the Good Shepherd and receive the protection of his staff and of his rod. You know, the staff, we did not explain, but there, you know that. The form of the staff that is helpful to bring the ship. So the staff is not always agreeable. Sometimes that happened to me. So what is your staff? I don't know. The other day, something happened to me. There is one of my brother priest. He noticed that I tended to bring, when we went for a hike in the beautiful trees, and in the conversation at some point I was bringing the conversation lower with a joke or with just a distraction, and it happened a few times. And so he told me, then I realized it's true, he's right. And then the Lord is using him to bring me with his staff. Thank you, Lord, for your staff and for that opportunity to experience your mercy. So we could go to the next slide. So here are some question for us for the second meditation. I lost somewhere in the slide, but no worries. I lost the gratitude. I want to speak a minute on gratitude before to go to the questions, but no worries. I probably forgot them in my slideshow. Here it is. Gratitude doesn't change God, but change our heart. By contrast, if we bury ourselves in discontent, permanent dissatisfaction, then our hearts close themselves insidiously against life, against God's gift. So the other day when Jesus came with a staff to get me about my conversations, then if I thank him for his staff and for bringing me, then it disposes me to see the beauty of him being present to me, being close to me, reaching out to me. But if I am furious because first I was corrected with by my brother, then who does he think he is? And then I mean, I have been working all those years to be perfect, and I am a disaster. So then I enter in a dissatisfaction, in a discouragement, and then I close myself insidiously against life. What is that? Life, what I am doing here, against God's gift. So I hope I don't scandalize you with my stories, but here it is. The only happiness on this earth is to be determined always to find that what Jesus gives is delightful. It's Thérèse of Lisieux, the little flower, they call her around here, I think. So Thérèse of Lisieux, she writes to Leonie, a sister, about happiness. The only happiness on this earth is to be determined always to find that what Jesus gives is delightful. So you can focus on, I can focus on the disaster I am, or I can focus on the gift of Jesus is delightful. The brothers he gives me, their joy, their care, the creation, the trees, the colors. Each one of you that is part of this retreat that come with all our heart to meet Jesus and organize all their schedule for that. And John of the Cross says, we can obtain everything from God if only we know how to take hold of him by love. How to take hold of him by love. So it's a lot about the attitude. To notice what is delightful in the gift of Jesus. And you know, like a little girl with her dad, how they find the way to get to his heart. And so that's what that's the image that come to me. I remember my last sister, or now her daughter. Like nobody can resist to these little girls and the way they have to go to the heart. We can obtain everything from God if only we know how to take hold of Him by love. And there you see the good shepherd, that he is taking the sheep on his shoulders, and he sees her and he finds her and he can't resist to her and he brings her home. So now I enter in the questions, so we can go to the questions. So we have at least a few minutes to go to it before the concluding prayer. So about gratitude. Am I grateful for the personal way the Good Shepherd leads me? About the desire to be touched. So I remind you that I'm going to the desires of the heart, those that we find in many, like everybody somehow. When you felt especially held by God, so that's about the desire to be touched, or by the rod or the staff of the shepherd, when did that happen? How can I remain conscious of being held by Him even when I do not feel it? What am I called to discover more as a delightful touch or gift of the Good Shepherd? About the desire to be still and known, to be still and known, I am God, that desire that we find in the Bible. Where can I find stillness, still waters in my life to encounter my Lord? What stops me from seeking it more? For me, it helped me a lot to go a few minutes in nature, to see the winds in the leaves, and the effect on the leaves. And then in the autumn, when the leaves fly in different directions, and then there are that multitude of color. It speaks to me about the Creator. It brings me to still waters. I feel I don't choose it. He leads me there. About the desire to be safe. So I let you go there. I want to finish by reading a paragraph that you find in your handout in the note number 5. It's a note at the end of the page. Perhaps there is a slide about that, like the next slide, perhaps. So it's by Madame Jeanne Guyon. So you really need your handout because it's difficult to read on the screen, but no worries. If you did not receive it after, we can send it to you, or you can download it. So Madame Guyon, she was a French woman in the 17th century, and she guided priests even in spiritual life, and she really believed in prayer. And so what happened is that we use that word, that the Good Shepherd leads his sheep. He leads us to pass to his path. So that woman, she is very attentive So how are the ways for the Lord to lead us? And it's good for you that I can tell you are wanting to grow in your spiritual life because you are in that call, you want to do a retreat, you are attracted by the Lord. There is something, he's already leading you. And sometimes to listen about how he leads different kind of souls with new images, it helps us to be more awake about the movements of our soul. So I want to read a passage to you. It's in her book that is called Spiritual Torrents, like a river, a torrent, a spiritual torrent. Madame Jeanne Guyon. She writes, as soon as a soul is brought under divine influence, and its return to God is true and sincere, after the first cleansing which confession and contrition have effected, God imparts to it a certain instinct to return to Him in a most complete manner and to become united to Him. The soul feels then that it was not created for the amusement and trifles of the world, but that it has a center and an end to which it must be its aim to return, and out of which it can never find true repose. So she keeps going, describing how the Lord leads the soul. And she brings up three different kinds of souls. All are like water coming from the mountain. So you have one, it begins like a little stream, and then it can't go very far alone. So it will melt with a stronger stream, and slowly it will arrive to a river, and then the river will lead it to the ocean. That's many of us. That we can be guided slowly and arrive to the ocean that is the Lord in that sense, in that image. Then you have some stronger source, fonts, like the beginning of the river, that are strong enough to be the beginning of the river. And then they will slowly arrive at the end, like downhill and in the valley, and then bring many boats to the ocean and arrive full of fruits to the Lord, to God. And you have other streams that begin very strong on high in the mountain, and nothing can stop them. You can't even block you can't stop them, you can't orient them. They disappear in a big hole, and then they appear 1 mile further downhill, and they arrive directly to the ocean. And there they bring no boat, but slowly they mix with the sea that actually is full of boats, and because they are in the Lord. And so it's good to see, to listen in your heart where the Lord is leading you, because He's the one that knows how He wants to lead His sheep. So I will see you again in 5 minutes for the concluding prayer, but I invite just you to take those questions in your heart and I see you in 5 minutes to conclude the prayer with Tima.